AB-620, Agent-to-Agent in Copilot Studio. When to delegate to another agent. Some integration questions look almost identical at first. A user asks for something, the Copilot Studio agent needs help from another system. Maybe it should call a connector. Maybe it should use an MCP server. Maybe it should call a REST API. Or maybe it should delegate to another agent entirely. For agent-to-agent, or A2A, the key question is this: is the thing on the other side just a service that returns data, or is it an agent that owns its own reasoning, tools, and response logic? Let's use a simple scenario. Fabrikam has a customer service orchestrator. It already handles order status, returns, and delivery issues for orders Fabrikam fulfills itself. But some shipments are fulfilled by Northwind traders. Northwind does not just expose a shipment table. It has a shipment tracking agent on its own AI platform. That agent reasons over logistics events, interprets delayed scans, uses its own tools, and returns a contextual answer for the customer. If Northwind only had a tracking API, Fabrikam could use a connector or a REST API tool. The API would return raw data, and Fabrikam's orchestrator would decide what to say. But Northwind's capability is an agent. Fabrikam needs to delegate a task and receive an agent-generated response. That is where A2A fits. Here is the mental model. A connector gets data or performs a service operation. MCP gives your orchestrator controlled access to tools and resources published by a server. A2A delegates work to another agent. Your orchestrator sends a task. The external agent decides how to handle it with its own reasoning and tools. Then it returns a structured response. The core A2A parts are easy to remember. First, there is the orchestrator agent in Copilot Studio. Second, there is the external A2A-enabled agent. Third, there is an endpoint URL. From that endpoint, Copilot Studio can discover an agent card, usually from a well-known agent JSON path. The agent card describes the agent's name, purpose, capabilities, and communication endpoint. Then comes the task. A task is the unit of work the orchestrator delegates. It is not just a function call. It can include the user's request, structured message content, and relevant context. A context ID can maintain continuity across turns, so the external agent can understand follow-up questions in the same session. That context is powerful, and it is also a governance issue. In testing, always inspect what is being shared across the boundary. Conversation history may include account numbers, customer details, business-sensitive notes, or context the external agent does not need. A2A is useful because it can preserve context. Production A2A is safe only when the team has reviewed which context is appropriate to share. Now let's walk the scenario. A customer asks, "Where is my order with tracking number TRK98765? Fabrikam's orchestrator sees that this is a Northwind-fulfilled shipment. Instead of calling a raw API directly, it delegates the tracking task to Northwind's shipment agent. Northwind's agent reasons over its own logistics data, interprets the current shipment state, and returns a response the customer can understand. In Copilot Studio, the maker connects the A2A agent from the agents area. The pattern is add an agent, connect to an external agent, choose agent to agent, enter the endpoint URL, review the discovered agent card metadata, choose the authentication method, and add the connection. The exact navigation can change, so focus on the exam pattern: endpoint, agent card, description, authentication, then validation. Authentication still matters. A2A connections can use no authentication, an API key, or OAuth 2.0. No authentication is for samples, sandboxes, or intentionally unprotected development endpoints. For production, expect either an API key pattern or OAuth, depending on how the external agent is secured. Treat any key or client secret as sensitive. Do not paste secrets into topic text or places where they can be exposed or logged. The description is one of the most important setup choices. It is not just documentation, it is routing control. A vague description like handle shipment queries can create ambiguity with internal order topics or other agents. A stronger description says, handles live shipment tracking for orders fulfilled by Northwind traders, including current status, estimated delivery dates, and tracking event history for externally shipped orders. That tells the orchestrator when to delegate and when not to. Testing must include more than one happy path. Send prompts that should route to the A2A agent, like current status, estimated delivery, and tracking event history. Send prompts that should not route, like billing questions, returns, or Fabrikam fulfilled orders. Test edge cases, like missing tracking numbers and follow-up questions. Then review the activity log to confirm delegation actually happened. If no delegation occurs, the connected agent description may be too weak or too similar to another route. If authentication fails, verify the header name, key value, or OAuth details. If the agent card is not discovered, test the endpoint and the well-known agent JSON directly. If responses are unexpected, review what conversation history was included and whether the external agent is receiving confusing or unnecessary context. Before production, run a responsible use gate. Ask what conversation history crosses the boundary. Does the external agent need it? Are the data processing terms approved? Is the external agent reliable enough for the scenario? Is delegation logged and observable? Is there a human oversight path for sensitive or high-impact outcomes? For AB-620, the decision rule is compact. Use a connector or REST API when you are calling a service that returns data or performs a direct operation. Use MCP when your orchestrator needs controlled access to tools published by a server. Use A2A when the other thing is an agent that owns its own reasoning, tools, context handling, and response logic. The final memory anchor is connector gets data, MCP calls tools, A2A delegates work to another agent. Then validate the boundary before live users depend on it.